Hi, this is Shadi, and in this video we are going old school once again. We are discussing probably one of the best judoka of all times, right after the founder of course, and that's Kyuzo Mifune, 10th Dan. He has a very interesting story from upbringing, judo and competitive career, and also a very interesting story with his relationship with the Kodokan. So let's begin. So Kyuzo Mifune was born in 1883, just a year after the foundation of the Kodokan. He was born on April 21st in the city of Kuji in the Japanese island of Honshu, and started judo at the age of 13 years old. It was because of his father. He was a wild child, kind of like you hear with all those, new judokas. They were a wild child and their parents had to put them in some sort of discipline in order to solve this problem, and that's what his father did. He started at the age of 13, and immediately when he joined university, he tried to join the Kodokan. He went to Waseda University, and there he tried to meet with Kano and have an interview. But back then, with Kano still being alive and the classicism and the whole hierarchical thing, it was very hard for him to do, because you either have to be very high-ranking judoka and sign a blood oath. And so he tried to befriend Yokoyama in order for him to join the Kodokan. And Yokoyama was a very fierce and strong and hot-headed judoka, and he didn't consent very easily. And so Mifune was very relentless. He would often reside outside his house. I'm not gonna say harass him, but he was very relentless with his request. And so by the year 1903 in July, Mifune finally joined the Kodokan, and he was often training more than studying. And so his father found out about this, and he cut off his allowance, kind of like my mom. And eventually he had to start his own business and started a newspaper and, took economics, and he was a very successful entrepreneur as well. So this is a very good factor to know, that he always had an option. He was creative in his choices. He knew how to survive and start his own business, and he knew how to handle relationships well, from, convincing Yokoyama and starting his own business, a newspaper, etc. So he was a very resourceful man. He was smart and very talented in judo as well. So from his upbringing alone, you can tell that he was a very special and a unique individual. So we've talked about his upbringing and education. Now let's talk a little bit about what he had accomplished in the judo world. So he was awarded his first degree black belt just after a year and 3 months of training, or a 15 months total. And just after that, 4 months later, he was awarded the Nidan, or the second degree black belt. This is very quick even for today's standards, and he was starting to gain a lot of reputation, and he was undefeated in the annual red and white Kodokan tournament. And by 1912 he was awarded the 6th Dan, and he became a judo instructor, officially a sensei. And I just want to pause here for a second and ask a question. I mean, I know this is just to talk about the history, but I do not just want to narrate. I just want to, reflect and ask a few questions, because I think this is very important in order to understand the context of things, and, not just take things as face value, but also try to understand what is going on. I know this is very fast, and they were defeating these 10 opponents straight, and they were getting these black belts left and right, like Mifune, Kimura, etc. And it makes you wonder, were they really that special, or the level back then was not, up to par? I mean, obviously they were good judokas. There's a reason why they were, very known, and why we're all still discussing them till this day. For someone like Kimura to do what he did back in Brazil was unheard of. And I just want to say that, were they really that good, or, the level back then was not, the same? Because, for example, look at the UFC, for example, in 1993 and now. it has evolved massively. I mean, every game, whatever it is, whether it's basketball, judo, whatever it is, it evolves. So I wonder if now I took someone like Mifune and put him in the -60 in the IJF World Tour or in the Olympics, will he perform the same results? This is what I'm actually curious about. Was the level back then a bit lower, or they were really that special and that's why, you know, there are these pronounced characters in history of judo? This is just the stuff I think about. I try to, you know, speculate. I look at history with a big question mark and not just, you know, regurgitate it and, you know, open a Wikipedia page or a page in a book and just read from it like, you know, most people do. No, I want to really know what happened because, you know, similar with my, you know, the widespread of judo for the betterment of mankind, it actually turned out to be a whole lot different. There was a lot of socio-political factors into it. I want to know, were these people really that special, you know, godlike, god of judo, etc., all these nicknames? You know, it makes you wonder. That's it. I'm not saying they were bad. Obviously they were very, you know, talented from the videos of them as old men challenging young students, but you know, you have to wonder when they were competing against who. That's the question. And you know, gaining these black belts left and right after just months, it seems so out of the ordinary. It makes you wonder. That's all I'm saying. And you know, after his 6th dan, he was being called the god of judo, and at the age of 30 he went back, took a small hiatus, and he went back home and married because of his father's request. Like I said, his father was a very strict man and a disciplinarian, so he had to do as he wished. And at the age of 40 he was challenged by a 6 foot tall and 240 pound sumo wrestler. For those of you who don't know, 220 pounds is 100 kilograms, so 240 is around like 108 kilograms, and 6 feet is around 182 centimeters. And Mifune was 5'2", so around 157, and 100 pounds, so barely 45 kilograms. And unsurprisingly, Mifune ended up beating the sumo wrestler with a sumi otoshi. So like I said, they were obviously talented judokas, but back then the level of these martial arts, was it like, you know, up to par or whatever? That's why I wonder about these things. And eventually by 1937 he was ranked 9th dan by Jigoro Kano himself, and after Jigoro Kano's death a year later he became the most influential figure in judo, basically the best after Jigoro Kano. And Mifune would go and, you know, go on these lectures and teach judo, and you know, rumors would say he wasn't cherished, but he was feared. So he was this very small figure but very fierce man, and eventually he was promoted to 10th dan, you know, maybe the highest ranking, by the year 1945, and given the title Meijin. Meijin basically means a master of his own craft or field. So by 1956 he wrote one of the best books on judo, which is the Canon of Judo. It talks about history, technique, etc. You can find it anywhere, find it on PDF or, you know, solid format of paper. And over the years he went on to become, you know, the best figure in judo, and his philosophy was basically freedom in continuous change. So this is what I was talking about. The game would completely evolve, not only just system like Kaweshi with what he did with the French, but also, you know, the ability to evolve and not just stay like a conservative game, kind of like Aikido. Aikido is still Aikikai till this day. There's no additions to it, and even if they do, it becomes like this Krav Maga kind of like a discipline. So Mifune was sort of like a progressive when it came to judo. And finally Mifune passed away in 1965, January 27 in Tokyo. And just a year before that, he was awarded the Order of the Rising Sun, a very high level personality in the Japanese community. So you can find all these informations in either Canon of Judo or Kyuzo Mifune Master of Judo by Noha R. And you can easily find his videos on YouTube, defining techniques, etc. So this is what I wanted to discuss. Kyuzo Mifune, try to analyze his career a bit and see whether, were they really these brilliant individuals, or simply back then the level was not as it was today. And even if they were competing today, him and Kimura, would they produce the same results? That's what I was wondering. If you have another, opinion on this, would really love it if you start a discussion in the comments. I always learn. I'm always willing to discuss and always willing to learn with an open mind. Please, if you have something to add, please share it down below. This was Shadi. Thank you for listening, and I'm signing out.